Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Northwest Pizza and Pasta Company, located at 1585 Siskiyou Boulevard in Ashland. Serving pizza, wings, salads, burgers, sandwiches, pasta, and much, much more, Northwest Pizza can take care of you. Go see Morgan and the crew and tell them the Running Raiders sent you. And we're back with the Running Raiders. I'm TJ Caughell, Aden Hawes, Coy Thomas Call on the YouTube videos over there. And our special guest today is Yasmine Ahllamara.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
How's your morning going?
It's been pretty good, pretty chill for dead week. Usually my mornings are a lot of homework, but I took it easy today.
Yeah, good. Just us.
Yeah, this is my morning.
What's like your routine in the morning?
I wake up and I get ready and I make a cup of coffee and I'll like start my assignments. I'm not like a homework at night person. I just feel like it doesn't suit my routine to stay up late. So like I'll try to go to bed early. I'll usually wake up earlier, get going, have a cup of coffee, do my homework, and then I'll make breakfast and head out to class.
It's a full morning.
Yeah.
When you say early, what time is early?
Depends how much homework I have. So like typically 7, sometimes some like exam days if I want to study before, I'll do like 6 a.m. The earliest I've ever done like was 5.
That's early.
Yeah, but that was like a one-time thing. I wouldn't say it's consistent.
I think 7's pretty early for a college student though.
Yeah, I feel like when you go to bed early though, it's pretty easy. I wasn't a morning person at all last year. I was like a stay up late, and I just feel like the stress and the lack of sleep just wasn't helping me perform in class or on the court. So I kind of switched it up this year, and I just feel like my results have been way better.
Good.
What's going to bed early? Like what time is that?
I try to be like in my room at least by 10 p.m. I don't always fall asleep. After that, I will stay up at least on my phone until like 10:30, but like I'll be asleep by 11 usually. And so like I don't know, if you wake up at 7, that's 8 hours of sleep. It's still pretty decent for a college kid. Yeah.
That's a lot of self-discipline. That's nice.
I mean, it took a lot of, falling and getting back up to get there. I am in my like senior year, so
yeah, I'm
finally getting the hang of it.
So you're a senior. What's your major?
Academically,
okay.
And a junior in sports. Uh-huh. My major is biology with a minor in chemistry.
Wow. Those are hard classes.
That's why I'm up early.
What are you trying to get out of your degree? Like, do you have like a dream job?
Yeah. I'm on the pre-med route right now. And my dream job for a while has been to be an emergency room doctor.
Wow.
So that's the route I'm on right now. Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Killing it.
That ER doctor is a tough job.
Yeah. I think growing up and playing sports and being like very like high energy, fast pace, made me want to like get a career that it was similar. And I feel like also being a point guard, shot calling is like something I've had to do. So I think like being in an emergency room, it's like kind of like my way of like mimicking my athletic career.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, you'll do well.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So you said you were a junior
in
athletically.
sports.
So are you going to take advantage of that? Like play another year?
Oh yeah, for sure. I am going to play another year, and also it kind of helped me out academically as well. I got to space out some of my like tougher upper division classes. So yeah, I am taking advantage of that for sure.
Good for you.
Yeah. How many credits are you taking this term?
Right now I think I'm in 17.
That's a lot.
Yeah, for fall, but I'll definitely tone it down in the winter because we travel a lot. That's like usually how I'll do it. I'll have a heavy fall, a heavy spring, and a lighter winter. Just suits our basketball schedule.
For sure.
That makes sense. So you'll finish with your bachelor's this spring. Is that correct?
No, because I spaced it out, I will still finish next year. But next year, like I don't think outside of fall I'll ever have to take 12 credits. So whatever I'm not entirely sure what the rule is, but I'll do whatever I need to be athletically eligible, but that's about it.
Are you going to pursue your master's degree here or?
No, I just think for my career route, a master's doesn't really like offer any like value because I have to go to medical school anyways. So I really, after next year, I kind of wanted to take a gap year and get like more like clinical experience and like experience in the field, shadowing people, like learning more about it. Before, hopefully getting accepted somewhere and starting that journey.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So is that a requirement is to get a lot of hours to get into the top med schools?
Yeah, they don't necessarily say required, but you definitely do need it to be competitive. And of course, playing sports, it's been hard for me. I did recently do an internship with my coach's husband, Carter. He's the athletic trainer for the football team. So I got like some experience doing that, which was really fun. And I'm looking to do more in the summer as well. But yeah, I think having a gap year to do that would like really benefit me.
Yeah, no, that would be helpful. And I would think it would make it so you can see, yeah, oh, I do want to be an ER doctor,
Exactly.
or maybe I don't want to be an ER doctor. I always had, I think I got this from Coach Zozel, the philosophy of failing fast. Like, I have a lot of different interests, and so I want to jump in and fail fast, if I'm going to fail. If not, then I know it's for real and I'm going to keep going. But it's kind of an opportunity to do that. Where when I did my master's in teaching program here, you get to the end and you do your teaching, and I was doing my teaching at the end, and I was like, I don't know if I really love this. I'm at the end of my master's program. Like, what am I going to do? So yeah, that's great to be able to figure that out early on. And
yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
And is there a place you want to be for med school?
Oh, definitely. I do. I recently, so my family recently moved to New Jersey, and I've had the chance to visit New York a couple times, and I think I fell in love. So I ultimately did want to end up there, but medical school is like one of those things where you go where you get accepted. So in order to like follow my dream, I'm willing to go anywhere. Like, I'll be in the middle of anywhere, like, to do that. But my dream is to be in New York.
A specific school or just New York?
No, just New York.
The city?
Yeah, the city or just outside of it. I grew up just outside of Toronto, so I'm not like attached to the idea of being in a city, but I like being near big cities for sure.
Yeah. So what's cool about Toronto? Are you friends with Drake?
I get that question all the time.
Sure, it was a really bad question.
No, it's okay.
It was not funny, but I was trying to be funny.
No, I'm not friends with Drake, but one thing I do love about Toronto is just the diversity. Like, I just grew up with so many different cultures around me, and I had the experience of learning like so much without even leaving home. So that was probably my favorite part. And I always tell people, if you ever want to visit Toronto, do it in the summer, because there's just like festival after festival, event after event, where you can experience like so many different things. And it's just like my favorite place to be.
Oh, it sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of people that have been to Toronto, or I've known that have lived in Toronto, love the city, and they say the same thing. There's so many cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Japan, Tokyo, for a couple months, short while. But there was a lot of Japanese people that were in Toronto, and they loved it there too. And they would say the same thing. There's just so many different cultures there. So you were mentioning beforehand that you speak Arabic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to pry too much, but you said that comes from your family. Can you tell me a little bit about your family, where they're from and what they do?
So my family is Moroccan, like through and through. We're like 100% Moroccan. There's no mix anywhere along the line right now. My mom and my dad grew up together over there. They met when they were young, and my mom was like so not a fan of my dad. It was so funny. And he was just head over heels the moment he met her, and he was kind of relentless. And then they got engaged at 19. They were going to school in Florida. Had my sister. So my sister's actually a dual citizen. She was born in Florida while my mom was getting her MBA. And then afterwards, when their student visas expired, it was a lot easier to get citizenship in Canada. So that's when they moved there and had me. So I'm just a Canadian citizen. And yeah, that's kind of like our little story. We moved around a little bit after. We lived in California for a little bit. Did my senior year in California. And then I did 2 years of JUCO there while they moved to New Jersey. And then I ended up in Oregon.
Yeah. So you have California residency, so you get in-state tuition here, correct?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yeah, it is pretty nice.
So have you spent any time in Morocco?
Yeah, I haven't been in a really long time, but I did go a few times growing up, and it's really beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all I ever hear is like just an amazing place, like a magical place.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but beautiful, and the food's great, and the people are kind.
It's pretty breathtaking.
It is.
Yeah, I get to have still the food at home. My grandma lives in Canada, so it's pretty authentic when grandma's making it for sure. And my dad's pretty good as well. But yeah, I was actually just talking with my mom like a week ago. I hope she watches this. And I was like, if you want an idea for like a graduation present, a trip to Morocco would be great. So yeah.
Yeah, that does sound great.
I'm just going to put that out here.
There?
The last time I was there, I was 11 and I'm 21 now. Yeah. It's one of those things where if you're going to go, you have to go for like at least a good 2 weeks to make the flight worth it. And I've been like so into basketball that I just like never wanted to like take 2 weeks out. So now that I'm getting older and I'm gonna be done soon, I want to head over.
Yeah.
And it's a like a Southern California type climate, is that right?
Yeah, maybe more humid.
More humid, okay.
But yeah, it's pretty warm there.
How long is the plane ride?
It's like 11 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, 11. Well, when we did it, we flew 11 to France and then 3 to Morocco.
Oh, okay. So like 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I went from San Francisco to Beijing, and that was like 16 hours.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I was young, so it felt really long. But I'm sure now, as an adult, it'd probably be a little bit easier. But that was a long trip to do when I was 11.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's still rough even when you're older. Yeah.
Yeah, you sort of just lose track of time when it's that long. You're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's like the bus rides we do here.
Oh,
There's like,
I'm not.
I think this weekend is a long one.
This is the rough one.
Yeah, this is the rough one. I was actually telling Camille because she redshirted last year, so it's her first time traveling with us here, and I was like, "You're lucky we're doing this one first because last year we had to do it in the middle of the season." I was like, "I just want to get this long bus out of the way, and the rest are pretty close, but
yeah,
it's a far one."
Yeah, and we get. I'm looking at the date here, and we get a little bit of time to recover, right?
Yeah, between next Saturday is OIT.
Yeah,
we don't have the next Friday. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
a little extra time.
And we get a lot of our travel done, I think, in the beginning of season, which is nice because last year I think we traveled a lot at the end, and so some of our like really big home games we had like smaller crowds, so we're kind of excited to have some like bigger games with our student section because our student section's like pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, College of Idaho is going to have a good crowd, right?
Oh, yeah, they do. They do, which is exciting. Like, even when it's not your home crowd, I think it's, like, fun to play in an atmosphere like that. Like, nobody likes a quiet game. It's kind of like a scrimmage. Right. So, like, you know, good or bad, it's nice to play in, like, those intense environments, I think.
How is the C of I women's program in Eastern? Are they both pretty tough?
Yeah, they're both pretty good teams. Yeah, this is, like, it's a tough road trip and 2 tough games for us, but it's what we live for, I think, especially our team. And when you get to know us, we're some pretty competitive individuals, and like these are the games we get excited for. Yeah,
it's awesome. It seems like a great group of women that y'all have. And tell us a little bit more about that. Tell us about your teammates and Coach CK and those. The season's got off to a good start, right? You had the one loss, correct?
Yeah,
against
one loss to Westmont.
Westmont, who's top of the country, so at their place, right? So that was a really tough game. So yeah, tell me a little bit about your team.
Like I said, the first word I would use to describe us is competitive. But I will say, like, what's really nice is I think we all know, like, we kind of form like a sisterhood where it's kind of like, even on the days we annoy each other, like we have each other's back, which is so important because you're not going to like everybody every day. It's just like reality. But like to have a support system and to have something solid is kind of like what wins games at the end of the day. It's like, you know, we might have argued before practice, but that won't be carried into practice kind of thing. I think we're like really good at that. And like checking in on each other, I feel like even like when we go home and stuff, there's a lot of like, hey, how's it going at home? Stuff like that. Like even if it's, you know, small talk, you still feel like people are, you know, caring for you. And also we're fun. Like we're fun groups to be around. There's so many personalities on our team. Like we're all just so different that like it makes every day interesting. Like I love going into the locker room before practice. Somebody's always in a goofy mood. Like it's very positive, very laughable. It's a great team to be on.
It sounds great. Yeah, you need all this. If everyone's the same, it's not cool. It's not fun. It's good to have all those different personalities that mesh together because there's all the roles.
And you got to be able to like push each other's buttons just to get the most out of everybody without like everyone taking it too personal.
Exactly.
Which it sounds like.
You want to be in an environment where you can hold people accountable. And I feel like it's easiest to be held accountable when it's coming from somebody you know cares about you, you know? It doesn't feel ever negative because you know this person has your best interest in mind. And I think like as a team, we all feel that way.
Well, even that, of course, but I also mean just like on a personal level, like to be able to get through like annoying the crap out of someone and then being able to like get over it, you know what I mean? Like not have it linger on.
Yeah.
Because it's a long season, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're around everybody for so long. I think sometimes it can be easy to be like, oh my God, just get away from this person. But it sounds like that's not the case.
No, we were actually laughing because for our Los Angeles trip, we were in an Airbnb and there's like 8 of us in one room and like the rest in another. And we were just talking like not many teams could probably be crammed like that and survive. Like, of course, at some points we were like, you know, at the end of the trip, it's like, okay, nobody text me tomorrow. Like I need a little bit of space. But we really had no issues. And it's kind of like, it's things like that that bring us closer. Like, of course, having 7 girls in your space and sharing one bathroom with the whole team is like, you know, that's a challenge.
That's a
like
lot.
That was team bonding, but we definitely got through it. And I'm really just excited to see where this season takes us.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So who took the most time in the bathroom?
Put him on blast.
I have to think. She didn't take the most time in the bathroom, but ironically, Calais brought her own mirror so that she could get ready in her bed. So I'm gonna put her on blast because that was just so funny to me that she was ready to like not have to take up time. She took up time in her own bed. So shout out Calais.
It's kind of extra.
Hey, but I can't even say anything because some of us borrowed her mirror. We clowned her at first, like she pulled it out of her suitcase and we're like, Calais, there's no way you brought a mirror. But then it was kind of like, Calais, can I borrow your mirror?
You're the smart one.
Yeah, she was the smart one. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How did you end up here? So you went to Ventura?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Tell me how you got here.
Okay, so my senior year of high school, like I wasn't really sure if I wanted to stay in America or not. And like I said, I'm so in love with Toronto. A big part of me wanted to go back, but I had basketball dreams, so I ended up staying and playing for Ned at Ventura, which I do not regret at all. That was just such a great learning opportunity for me. But my sophomore year, COVID kind of happened. COVID very much happened, and I didn't get to play. And so I knew I wanted to keep going forward academically, even though I had to miss out on the JUCO season, which I was upset about. But I kind of had support from my coaches, and like, ironically, Southern Oregon, the former coach, not Coach Carlotta, had reached out to me, and I knew Kennedy Honecker, who doesn't go here anymore, but I played my senior year for her father at Valencia. So I kind of had a bit of a tie here, and she loved it here, and it kind of like, you know, the way she spoke about it and the team environment, which was so big for me. I just knew that after playing at a JUCO and like kind of maturing a little bit, I knew that it wasn't just about where your school was. It was about like who you were going to play with, because that's who you spend most of your time with, especially how long a basketball season is. So for me, like hearing about her experience with her teammates and like actually getting to meet people and, you know, seeing how much everybody cares about each other is something I knew I wanted to be a part of.
Yeah. Shout out Kennedy Honecker,
follower
of the Running Raiders.
Yeah.
I see her on Instagram. Yeah, that goes a long ways. When I see just kind of through doing this and getting to know a few of you on the team, it seems like the alumni are really supportive of the current program, which says a lot about the school and the
Kennedy
program.
was in that Airbnb with us helping Coach watch her baby. So shout out Kennedy because
I didn't tell that Cammie said that too, that there was an alum in there. Remember that? Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's the real MVP, huh?
No, she really is, because imagine she's not playing, like there's no winning. She really just helped us out.
So does she like live in LA?
Yeah, she lives in Santa Clarita. So, and she's actually now coaching where we went to high school with her dad and her brother. So it's cool. They got like a little family thing going on.
Wait, so just to clarify, you said you went to your senior year in the States?
Yeah, I did my senior year at Valencia. and I played for Kennedy's dad and Kennedy's brother.
Valencia High School?
Yeah.
Okay, because correct me if I'm wrong. The schooling system in Canada, like you guys are a little younger as seniors, right?
Yeah, I think.
Or like you guys skip like kindergarten
No,
or something?
yeah, we do kindergarten, but we do by like birth year, and like I think America does by school year. So like for example, in my grade it's me, Mia, Cami, and Izzy, and Mia and Izzy are born in 2000, and me and Cami are born in 2001. So like technically in Canada, Mia and Izzy would have been a grade above me, not the same grade as me.
Right, because I know quite a few basketball players from Canada, from like the Ontario area.
Yeah.
And I feel like they told me once that they either have only like 3 years of high school or like 2 years of middle school or something, where it's like they don't do as much schooling, or they're always younger than
We're always younger.
college freshmen.
Yeah, we are always younger, but we do the same amount of schooling because Toronto's in Ontario. So we do the same amount of schooling, but we always tend to be younger. That's why a lot of male athletes in Canada will typically do a 5th year for recruitment purposes, but it's not as common in females. We kind of just keep going.
Because you were saying you did a year of prep school, right?
Yeah, so I went to a prep school. It was like very new in Canada at the time. But essentially it was kind of like the same. I did 2 years there, my sophomore and my junior year.
Was it Orangeville by any chance?
No, but it's the same league as Orangeville.
Okay, cool.
So Orangeville only had a men's program. I went to King's Christian Collegiate, and that was, we had men's and women's, but the men's is done now. The women's is still running, I believe.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which guys are at Orangeville? Is that Chris Boucher?
A lot of them is the Maker brothers, like Thon Maker.
Yeah.
So I know those people.
They got a lot of big names come out of that school.
Yeah. What was the other guy? He went to Michigan.
Ignis. Yeah.
Dykes.
I grew up doing like summer camps with him.
Yeah, so I know some of those guys who help out over there, but that's interesting just to hear.
Have you been to Orangeville?
No, I haven't. I've never been to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I just know, like I said, I know a few people who operate out there.
Yeah, the Canada basketball, like especially in Ontario, it's like such a small community. I think like everybody kind of knows everybody a little bit. But that's also one of the reasons I didn't want to go back home, because I was like, I've played with everybody. As much as it like there's some great basketball players, it was just kind of like I really wanted like a change of scenery, because like I literally played with the same people from when I was like 10 up until like 17. I knew everybody I was playing, and I was ready for something new, you know?
Yeah,
for sure.
Pretty small community.
Yeah, it is.
Aiden knows he's tied in with the Oregon guys, and they have a Toronto connection, right?
Yeah, really all over Canada.
Really?
Yeah, like they have some guys from, I know Ontario is like a big part of where they get into.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks was Canadian, wasn't he?
Yeah, Dylan Brooks, Dylan Ennis, Addison Patterson, Boucher, and then some older guys like Olu Ashlew and DeVoe Joseph. I'm trying to think of where Addison was from, a smaller town outside.
Yeah, he's from Milton.
Milton, that's right.
Yeah.
Yasmine knows everyone.
Like I said, small community.
Tight-knit.
Very small, yeah. And then I believe Dylan Ennis's younger sister went to King's Christian after me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know his dad pretty well.
And there's an Ennis in the NBA, isn't there?
Tyler, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Didn't he go to Orangeville too?
I think so. There's a lot of people.
Like I said, Orangeville has a lot of big names.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool just to. I feel like I was talking to you about this. You're the only Canadian, right?
Yeah.
There's a pretty like underrated Canadian pipeline.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, we talked about this all the time, like especially recruitment wise. They didn't really come to see us. To get recruited as a Canadian, you have to go out and play in the States a lot. So that's entirely how my summers are spent, playing AAU basketball in the States. But there's definitely an underrated community. But I think as we go on, it's being put on the map a little more, especially when these Canadians get to school and they do well. I think that like is really big for Canada basketball as a whole.
Yeah, there's been so many. It's
Yeah.
like a lot of people who you think and hear about a lot, you don't know they're Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know. I don't want to say they're not like representing or they're not proud to be Canadian, but it's just like sort of gets swept under the rug. I feel like a lot of people probably don't know that like RJ Barrett's Canadian.
Oh yeah.
And like
Is Andrew Wiggins Canadian?
Yep.
Yeah,
like the other first overall pick, Anthony Bennett's Canadian. Like there's just so many. Kelly Olynyk's Canadian.
Oh yeah.
So there's just so many that like we know are good players, but you just sort of don't think about.
Steve Nash is Canadian, right?
Yeah, he's a good Canadian.
Mm-hmm. I also want to shout out my friend Letitia Amahir. She plays for South Carolina women's basketball.
Wow.
She's a Canadian. There's a lot of us. Yeah.
Yeah, Letitia. What's her last name?
Amahir.
Sponsor us.
Come talk to us.
Yeah.
Did you watch them play against UCLA?
I watched the first half because we had practice. But yeah, it was. I think UCLA was up when I was watching, but
they were up
luckily,
in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, luckily they pulled through. Obviously, I'm a South Carolina fan. I got a friend on there, so
yeah, they're an easy team to be a fan of. Too.
Yeah, they got
Boston's
something special.
Monster.
Yeah,
she's a mammoth.
They're a big team. She was playing point guard a little bit yesterday, and she's 6'3". She was a forward when we played together, so it was cool. It's cool to watch. I have a few friends still playing. I have another one at Cal Baptist, Tiana Neal, and then I have another friend. She's playing at Florida A&M, Midea Wariomi. So those are all like girls I make time to watch, just supporting friends. We all went to King's Christian together, and we're all Canadians in America, so it's cool. Like just to have each other as a support system.
That's very cool. Yeah. So what tournaments was this the team that would play tournaments in the US, or this was your high school team?
So this is like
separate?
Yeah, but we did do so that was like a thing about the prep route that started in Canada. It became kind of like more like recruitment, like it was like trying to put Canadian athletes on the map. So we did do a few tournaments in the preseason, kind of traveling and stuff. But we did do our own thing in terms of like AAU basketball. I did play with my friend Tiana. We played for something called A Game, which is based in Toronto. And then we traveled a lot. We traveled to like Washington, D.C. We traveled to Atlanta. We traveled to Kentucky, New York. Those are like some of the ones I did as I was older, but I've been like around. I've been to Syracuse, Pennsylvania, Ohio. These are all places I have literally stepped foot in as a Canadian just to play basketball. So it's taken me places. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That's very incredible. When you were a little girl, you probably didn't expect all that.
No, but I did love it. Like it was something about AAU basketball. I think even like in our locker room, we talk about it sometimes. Like that's like something you never get back. It's just like a different, like we just talk about it. Like you kind of show up and you play basketball, but you're traveling with your friends. You go to malls, you see new places, and like you play against like girls that are going to be like top 10 school recruits. They, obliterate you, but you still have fun.
Right.
Like that's the only like kind of environment where it's okay to go through something like that. And it's like you get a lot of experience from AAU that you don't really get in high school basketball. It's fun.
What initially drew you to basketball, or what got you started on basketball?
So this is funny. I actually played like a lot growing up. I did soccer, volleyball, track. I swam, I danced, I did taekwondo. Like I tried a lot, but it was something like, I don't know how to explain it. Like my first day, I was, I think 7 years old, and I literally fell in love with it. It was house league basketball, and I broke my ankle, while warming up. So
it's not funny.
Yeah, right.
Funny. Yeah.
So
I was not expecting that.
Exactly. So
this is what got her into basketball.
Yeah. So with all my sport experiences, my parents were like, okay, she's not gonna like this one. And the moment I got my cast off, which I had to wear for an extended amount of time because I was apparently too active on my broken ankle, which is funny. I was like, okay, can I sign back up? And my parents were like, what? And I was like, no, like I wanna go back and play. And it was kind of like once basketball was in my life, like no other sport existed. I would like go and just like be uninterested. So my parents were like, okay, well, if this is what you want to do, like we'll support you. This is it. So, and that was it.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So was it because you really wanted to play that game and you couldn't play and it created like this thing, or you just knew you just wanted
I
to do
don't know. I think I just knew. Like I started like dribbling and I was so small, like I needed help to put it in the net kind of thing. But I was just like, it was like all I was thinking about after. It was weird. We as a team, we kind of had like a circle and we talked about things we're grateful for. And I said like, I think basketball like was my, one of my first loves. And I think like it was just something in the moment. I just knew I was going to keep doing it.
Yeah, that's cool. And describe your game.
My game.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I like to create. Like I get like most excited when I do something and someone else scores off of it. Like I think that's just like point guard nature. That's like my first and foremost favorite thing to do. I'd probably say I'm an aggressive defender. And I like to run both ways. So that's probably how I would describe myself.
Yeah, good skills to have on a team.
Who's your favorite player of all time?
Okay. I'm gonna give the basic answer. I was obsessed with LeBron from the moment I was young. The first NBA playoffs I ever watched, LeBron was playing, and I I kind of stayed up. My parents let me stay up late, and I watched him win a ring. And
He hates LeBron.
really,
I don't hate LeBron.
You despise.
I mentioned that I have put hate his way. That was the initial comment I had, and we've kind of gone back and forth. So
He's a big Jordan fan.
But
Okay.
I have learned a lot through this process that just seeing, because I remember Jordan and seeing him and being like, wow, that guy's the coolest man ever
Yeah.
when I saw him. So just like kids, they see that guy that's like the best, and you just have that instant connection. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry to cut into your
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I wore number 6 for a little bit while it was still legal. Because now you can't wear that. I think I honestly would probably wear number 6 if I could.
Wait, what do you mean it's illegal to wear number 6?
You have to wear like numbers that
in American college basketball.
yeah, that like you can like signal with digits, because like if a ref did this, that's 51. So like
I thought they did it like this, like 6 or 7.
In college basketball, you can't have any number above 5.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No.
It's 0 through 5, and then it's 10 through 15, and then it's 20 through 25. There's no.
I feel like an idiot.
It's okay.
Wait, we haven't seen any number 6.
There's none. There's none on any
Why can't
roster.
they just do this?
I don't know.
She's
If
good.
we could, I would. But I do love number 1. Number 1
I'm
was
dumbfounded right now.
Yeah.
Go look at the. Go
No,
look at the
that
rosters.
makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
just, how have I never known that or noticed that?
I adopted number 1 after I couldn't wear 6 anymore, because it stopped for me in Canada. In high school, I wasn't allowed to. So I adopted number 1, and I obviously have a love for number 1 as well. But number 6 was like,
6 is a cool number.
LeBron, Miami. That's like when I kind of discovered him, and so
You
yeah.
discovered him when he got to Miami?
Well, I was like 10.
I was gonna say it's probably her age.
Yeah. That's like that's when that's when I first started watching basketball. I was like, my first NBA finals that I've watched, I don't want to say the wrong age, but like around that age.
Okay.
So yeah, when I first found out who LeBron was, he was on Miami. I'm pretty young.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So have you ever been to a Toronto game?
Oh my God, so many. I love Toronto games. And one thing I will say, and anybody can argue with me over this, I'm going to make this statement right here.
Hot take.
I like
On the
to
left.
argue.
Hot take. No NBA crowd is better than the Toronto crowd.
No,
I have been to Lakers games and Clippers games.
Ever been to a
And
Blazer game?
no. But
Those
I
are
am
pretty
willing to
intense.
bet money Toronto is better. That is like our only team in the NBA. And so people will drive hours to be there. And
Yeah.
like the energy is unmatched. Even when we have our rougher years,
Uh-huh.
I feel like Toronto fans are Toronto fans through and through. Like people ask me what my favorite NBA team is. I've lived here in America for like 5 years now, and I'll still say the Raptors, like no matter how they're doing. So I just think our fan base is so solid, and like the energy, you just have to go. Like
Right.
I recommend, if you're gonna go to Toronto, go during basketball season and watch the Raptors game, because it's so fun.
Yeah, just watching him on TV, it seems like a crazy place to play, especially considering you have the long plane ride. And like you said, it's Canada's only team. So the passion seems like it's there for sure.
Yeah, that's why I feel like sometimes it's harder to get some good players in Toronto because the travel isn't enticing. But I don't know. I would do it in a heartbeat.
They've done well. I mean,
yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say your favorite player is Vince Carter.
Yeah.
Oh, you're probably too young. You probably don't.
Yeah.
You probably don't even
Kyle
know who that
Lowry
is.
or
my sister
Leonard.
loves Kyle Lowry. I was never the biggest Kyle Lowry.
Kyle Lowry is the man.
No. See, I'm with you. I'm not the biggest Lowry fan. My sister loves him, so that's my hot take with her. When it comes to Raptors, I was a DeMar DeRozan girl. I was heartbroken when he left. I was heartbroken, how they did him. That
was kind of rough.
Yeah, and that was my childhood. I grew up watching him, in that Raptors jersey. So I still love him no matter where he is. But
because they pretty much said, "Oh, we'll love you forever. We'll never do anything to you." And then next week they traded him to the other.
Well,
guys.
they did win a championship when they did that.
I'm not saying it was the wrong move.
I think
cold-hearted.
I wouldn't say they won it because he was gone, though. I feel like they were building it. Every year they made progress and they had gone further than they had ever gone. And then the next year they had also gone further than they had ever gone. So
they got Kawhi Leonard.
No, well, Kawhi Leonard was one season, the winning season. But I'm saying
weird how
those years
is weird. Yeah, then what happened? He left.
Those years leading up to it, I think a lot was built. They also changed the coach last second. I don't know if you know that.
Nick Nurse.
Yeah, but he also, did a lot to get them there. So I think
That's true.
Everybody looks at that year Kawhi Leonard won it and they're like Kawhi Leonard. But if you had been a Toronto fan and you had been paying attention, we had been building up to that. It was our time and he was there. Not that he didn't play a huge part. I won't take that away from him, but I will not give the title to one player. I think a lot of people played a role in that.
That's a good call. And obviously Siakam got a lot better.
Oh yeah, Spicy P.
Spicy P. That's
Spicy P.
That's a good nickname.
Yeah.
Spicy P.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, Kyle Lowry turned a corner because I used to talk a lot of trash about him about how he was just choked in the big times. Right?
Oh, that's
which is probably why you guys don't like him, right?
He still did that in Toronto. He didn't play very well.
Yeah, but he during that run he made some clutch buckets. He made
Kawhi.
some plays.
Yeah,
well, Kawhi was the man.
Kawhi carried the clutch bucket title. I will say, clutch is just not a word I would ever use to describe Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, well, it's fine.
We always going back to DeRozan. We always give TJ crap because his game is a little similar to MJ, a little bit.
So Coach Zozel has this thing where he tries to rise up the kids, and he's like, "Oh, if Jordan played today, he would be DeMar DeRozan."
Well, I can see similarities in the style of play. I also, I'm pretty young, so most of my Jordan watching experience has been highlights. So I don't know where he was flawed as much, but I can see similarities in how they play. And I love DeMar DeRozan, so I don't think that's an insult, but I could see how that would rile up
I like
others.
DeMar DeRozan too,
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the harder guys to guard.
And for me, I think one thing I take into consideration, when I like a player, is kind of who they are outside of, big time sports. So one of the reasons I like LeBron is because of his I Promise school and how much he gives back to his community. DeMar DeRozan has been kind of an advocate for men's mental health. I don't know if you guys have seen any of that, but he's pretty big on that, and I'm pretty big on mental health awareness with athletes. I think it's something that needs to be talked about more. But yeah, so those are
I
things.
remember sorry to cut you off.
Oh yeah, go
someone broke into his house. Do you remember this? And it was a crazy person broke into his house, and they interviewed him and they asked him, if he was scared, and he's like, I grew up in South Central LA like this. I wasn't scared at all. It wasn't nothing to me. I butchered that story, but it made me like him more. He's like, it just happened. I kind of felt sorry for the person who broke into my house type of thing.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his when he was at USC.
Yeah.
He was. I watched him play when he came to Oregon, back when Oregon played at the old small arena they used to play at, and he was just giving everybody buckets. Nobody could guard him. So,
he was from the start. He was real good.
I think he was a one and done.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, damn, I knew he was going to be good. But
yeah,
I know you were just talking about mental health. for athletes. And obviously this is a good platform to talk about what you want to talk about. Do you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah. I think I've been like pretty vocal about this since I got here. I just think being an athlete, you're kind of in a position where it's so much easier to face things like stress and anxiety and stuff. A lot that's performance based. I know me myself, I struggle with performance based anxiety. Like I want to do well in everything I do. And I think previously there's been so much stigma and such a culture around being mentally tough in sports. And I just like kind of want to reverse that. Like sometimes being tough is admitting you're not doing well, because that's a really hard thing to do. And I just kind of want, programs to have resources for their athletes, when they're ready to speak up, have something for them set in line so that people are not just like, I'm struggling. And it's kind of like, what can I do to help? Obviously, like when people are drowning, like they can't like tell you how to help them. Like you have to help them. And so I just kind of like, if I could do anything as an athlete, I would just try and like make a more inclusive environment for conversations like that, for sure.
That's big time.
That's incredibly important. Yeah. So many athletes a lot of people deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say. I've had a lot of mental health issues myself where it's like you're saying the thing with toughness. And the thing about toughness is, to me, toughness is being able to be yourself in the face of reality, and if you're pretending that something's not how it is, then that's not very tough because you're not dealing with reality.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it, and I think we talked about this on a previous episode with somebody, I forgot who, but I think part of it is just like this culture, at least like in terms of America and Americans, like there's this culture of like masculinity that sort of has spread around to everybody. Yeah. Where, like you said, we think we need to be this type of way, when in reality, we just need to be who we are and let our raw emotions just come as they are naturally, and not try to, cover them up or try to be something that we're not, or try to feel some way that we don't feel just because of some ideology of masculinity,
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like sometimes I think we underestimate the impact we can have on other people. And I think it honestly just takes one person starting the conversation for someone else to be like, hey, me too, and I feel like I'm pretty lucky to have teammates that are pretty responsive to those kind of conversations. I think we all kind of have each other's backs. But there's a lot of teams that aren't like that. And there's a lot of, programs and coaches themselves who don't support that. And sometimes you don't want to necessarily tell your coach, I'm struggling, You don't want to be put on the sidelines. You don't want to. So I just feel like there has to be some kind of outside source that like is open and inviting and feels like consequence free, because, we all don't want to be perceived as weak. Like we're human, even me, myself, I don't want anybody to think I'm weak, but it's okay that I get stressed out sometimes with school and stuff. Like I should be able to talk about that, get over it, and like go play basketball. It shouldn't like weigh into that. But when you don't talk about it and you bottle it in, I feel like that's when it starts coming out when it shouldn't.
Yeah, I believe we should look at it more as what are things that are triggering people to feel these sorts of emotions, and why is that happening? How can we make the world a better place? Because I do believe it's a remnant of biological evolution, right? Because when we're out fighting saber-toothed tigers, it came like, I had a rough night last night. I can't, I can't give it my best against this tiger. Originally as humans, we're fighting like real dangers, immediate dangers, and we have to be able to shove stuff down and just go fight type of thing. And it's been a long evolution to where we are now as humans. And so, but we still have those same reactions in our brain to stressors, right? So you still get the fight or flight response, or your body goes into these natural responses to stressors. And so a lot of times we respond the way we would have 100,000 years ago or whatever it is when we're facing some stressor. So we have to be able to talk about that as humans and say, why are we responding this way, or why are things causing us to feel this way? And it's not a lack of toughness by any means. So that's, the more you share about that, the better. That's great.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, like, you bringing up like biology, like I'm in a physiology class right now, and there's literal physical cues with stress that actually change like your physical makeup, like your heart rate going up and stuff like that. So you have like your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system, and then once you trigger your sympathetic one, it's like your fight or flight. And so when you're stressed, like your heart rate goes up, your breathing rate goes up and stuff like that. And when you carry that physically, like there are like negative consequences for operating at that pace for a long time. So it's not just in people's head. It's not about, you know, be tough, get over it. Like it's something that like actually affects you.
Well, which brings me to the importance of having physical education in, you know, elementary schools and early education. And because that's an anti-anxiety drug, basically, is exercise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you take that away from kids and just take away not building the habits of knowing where to go when you have these stressors, it can be really damaging to kids, you know, to not have that physical outlet. It's very important. And then being on a team is basically kind of a societal creation of like tribal warfare, right? Like we're going out against these different tribes and going to battle with these different tribes. And so you are having those stressors and you have the outlet of the team and those things. So we're lucky to be able to be part of a team and have that outlet. Mm-hmm. But we still are dealing with the stressors and the mental health that we don't always understand. But I think it should be more encouraged for people to be involved in sports and be in teams. And a lot of times it's demonized as like a masculine thing or an aggressive thing. It doesn't need to be that way.
Well, like I also don't want to like take away from like mental health awareness in general. Like I know like this is something everybody struggles with, but just as an athlete, when you're traveling all the time and missing school and like, you know, you hear things being said about you in the crowd and stuff, it's just so much easier to like have negative thoughts start versus like, you know, when you get to be at school all the time and stuff, like it's not as stressful. So that's kind of why I just think there should be an extra outlet for athletes, but I believe like everybody's mental health should be talked about. But yeah, that's kind of why I'm like specific on the athletes one. I just think we're in a position where it's just you're more vulnerable.
So Coach Koss, what is it?
Coach Koss.
Coach Koss. Has that been a I want to say valuable, but has it been something that the women's basketball team has used? Now I'm putting the women's basketball team on blast, but has that been something that athletes have been able to go to?
Yeah. So I'm not sure if anybody's had to use it. That's, you know, up to them, but we have had conversations with her, and I think like just those conversations where you like open the floor as a team and it's kind of like, oh, like I struggle with being homesick, and like you don't know your friend is struggling with that. It's like nice to know like where people are coming from. Like for me, when I got here, I feel like coming from somewhere so diverse was difficult for me to like, you know, come and live somewhere like not like very different. And coming from, you know, bigger city, more things going on, and somewhere more quieter, like I had like a bit of a culture shock and an adjustment. And I think a lot of people go through that here and just don't really talk about it. And I think when we had our conversation with Coach Koss, I like, you know, learned that a lot of my teammates went through the same things and we just never really talked about it. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think it's good to just have someone come in and like start a conversation, because more than likely the people who are going through it are not going to start it. You know, it's really easy to feel alone when you're going through things like that.
Right. So I feel like I have like 1,000 questions I want to ask you. It's 11:16 right now.
Okay.
So do you need to go?
I can stay for a little longer.
What is it that you need to get to?
A class at 11:30.
11:30. Okay. So we have a little more time.
Yeah.
Do you want to just check your phone or whatever and tell me when you need to go? Because
I can do, because it's just up there. I can like probably like 11:23.
Okay. Yep. And
sounds good.
we might need to get a second volume 2 session with you at some point too.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. I ruined the train of thought with that, but
no, that was good. That was good thoughts.
It was
Thank
awesome.
You.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That was great. Yeah, I want you to share as much as you can.
I know I asked you your favorite player. What about on the women's side? Do you have a inspirational player?
Favorite women's? So when I was in JUCO, and I was kind of struggling with the style of play change. I was so used to fast break and not running anything, and I started playing for a coach who really liked pick and rolls, and we do that a lot here as well, but I had a bit more experience by the time I got here. I had to sit in our locker room and watch Sue Bird for like 20 minutes doing pick and rolls. He just made me watch her. Watch how she reads this, watch how she reads that. And just how she carries herself, she's pretty dope. I really like her. And also like off the court, she's married to another female. That's also pretty dope. So I love what people do on the court, but I think it's like, you know, what they do off the court, that's pretty awesome. And I like the way they advocate, you know, for equal pay and stuff like that. They're pretty cool. So I like Sue Bird.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
She is.
So I know you said you were struggling with the adjustment of styles from one style to another. What about the Canadian women's basketball scene in general compared to how it is over here? What are some key similarities or key differences?
I think this might also be a hot take. I think Canadian basketball is a little bit more aggressive. I found that like here, there's a lot more foul calls that I wasn't really used to. And so I had to learn to play like a little bit less physical. So that I would say like that was probably a key change from like Canada to America. But outside of that, maybe Americans like to be a little bit more crafty, and I think we play kind of like basic, strict, hard, aggressive, nitty-gritty basketball in Canada. So I think I like kind of experienced like a little bit more crafty players, I would say, when I got to America, like the highlight,
right,
the mixtape girls.
Yeah.
We don't really do that as much in Canada.
I'd almost think it was the other way around, because at least just talking to the people I've talked to, and we had Jackson on here before, like he was saying, compared to at least over where he's from, like it's a lot more like physical and athletic, and you know, players who are really more intense over here as opposed to internationally, and vice versa. Like internationally, I think he thought that players were developed earlier, like with skills and not relying on athleticism, so they maybe were a little more crafty.
I will say there is a difference between East Coast and West Coast basketball. Absolutely. And I will say when I traveled down to the East Coast, I was like, they're bigger, they're more physical, they're more aggressive. I think coming from the East to the West, that was kind of my opinion. Like the just like less physicality for sure, a little bit less aggression and more crafty. But I will agree, like if I were to have gone to school in the East Coast, I probably would have thought the same thing. But there's definitely a difference in the two.
Interesting.
I think it's that more than anything. I mean, we're like 50 different countries. We could be here. 50 different countries in the U.S. That was for me because I was like the first like extensive experience of my coaching career was in the Midwest, and it was way more physical and aggressive and fast, and less skilled. The kids that I was around, and that was kind of like Central Illinois, St. Louis kids, Chicago kids. And then I got here, I got the job in Tacoma, and everyone could shoot, everyone could handle, but it was like way softer. Like we're way softer out here, which I hate. Yeah. I always like when I was playing in college, I'd be like the worst thing you could tell me is I was soft, you know, like I wasn't very reactionary, but that would make me really upset. I would hate to be soft, but now I kind of see the West Coast versus the Midwest, and it's like, wow, we're pretty soft over here.
Well, at least on the men's side, there's a reason that there hasn't been a West Coast NCAA winner in like 20 something years.
It's been a while, huh?
Like Arizona, I think, was the last team to win it all.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. Like it's all been like Texas or east of that, you know what I mean? So
yeah, well, even like this is not very telling, but like as a point guard, when I would play games back on the East Coast, I'd probably leave with at least a couple scratches on my arms, a few bruises, and I've been playing here, and I'm like I'm like fine, like nobody's really touching me, like it's just different. It's different for sure. I will say in practice, I think we are like I match up with Brie a lot, and I think we're pretty aggressive, I would say. But then, like, you know, we get to real games and we can't really touch people like that. So it is what it is. It's an adjustment I had to make. I will say I think I like East Coast a little bit more, but it is what it is.
So Bree's fouling you in practice.
No.
That's what I heard.
No. I'm just saying me and Bree are both like aggressive, and also like I like that. Like we can guard each other, we can get in each other's face, and then we walk out of practice laughing together. Like that's like, I don't know, that's what good practice is to me.
Yeah.
Like getting in each other's faces, and then practice is over, high five each other, and you're out. So I think her and I do that really well.
Yeah, that's true. From my experience, the guys that were the most physical and made me the most mad in practice are like my closest friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, as we get older. They would make me the maddest, but I was also, you can trust them the most because you know that they're giving you everything they got all the time. So
yeah, that makes me think of Day too. I feel like Day's like someone, like if you make a mistake, she will hold you accountable and let you know, like in the moment, which is nice. She doesn't dwindle on it. But then also Day is probably one of my closest friends, one of the people who makes me laugh the most. And so when she does want to say something, I'm all ears, like, give me your advice. Okay, cool. We'll dap each other up and practice goes on. So I think those are like the most like character building environments where you can take criticism and give it and just keep it pushing.
Yeah.
Well, Yasmine, I want to keep going, so we might have to bring you back in. We don't want to be the guys that make you late for practice. Late to class.
PK might kill us.
And then they shut us down. They might lock the door on our pod. So it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And until next time, the Running Raiders are out.
Awesome.